Welcome to Catch Her Spark with Jen Maldonado. These are conversations with women who are building meaningful careers, stepping into leadership, and designing life on their own.
Oh my. What an adventure I have today. Today I have Nicole LeBeau Fomin, and I have to tell you, these ladies, she has spent her career being the one person clients refuse to be transferred away from. And that's what I heard, not because of her title, just because of her. She has an amazing story that I really have to share with you. This is what the part that most people never hear. Long before anyone trusted her with millions of dollars in client relationship, Nicole was on the phone helping total strangers file the paperwork for their first business, their very first through LegalZoom. I mean, we're talking about that she walked someone through forming an LLC or a nonprofit or a company that only existed as an idea in their head so far. So you can imagine what she was going through. But more than anything, she has a great story. She was raised by a single mother and she went to college with her own efforts, finished later, but she met that goal. And she carried that same steadiness into tech today, starting on the front lines, but she started from the bottom, answering support tickets, the kind of unglamorous work that I will tell you nobody notices until it's missing. And I have the impression that this shape who she is today, coming from service and creating loyalty from her clients because her clients follow her every time because it was never the company they trusted, it was her. So this is why so I'm excited to bring her today. She was responsible for managing $22 million portfolio in the past, and she went through that process of getting laid off, which a lot of you can relate. And then she started again with a new company, new energies. But don't get me wrong, outside of work, she's still just Nicole, building her own small corner of the internet on Instagram, right? And a reminder that she never let a job title become her own identity, people. So she didn't hold into her clients by accident. She hold into them because she never once treat them like a portfolio. She treat them like people. Don't we all love that? So Nicole, welcome today.
Thank you, Jen. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today.
Yes, I mean, I think that you have a great story to share with our audience. A lot of people will be able to relate, but tell us a little bit about you, Nicole. Where do you start, who you are, and what you love about what you do?
Okay, yeah, there's a lot to cover there.
Yes.
I started in humble Orlando, Florida, and I have a wonderful mother that did everything that she could to raise us. But like you mentioned, it was just her and us, and we didn't always have everything that we needed. So going to college was, like you mentioned, all on my own efforts, and it was worth it. I didn't get to go straight away like most of my peers, but I did end up finishing eventually in my mid 20s. And during that time, I spent working service jobs. So restaurants and things like that, just doing whatever I could to make sure that I could continue to go to school and pay the bills. But it was a really important thing because it teaches you how to interact with people, and it's skills that you bring with you for the rest of your life. And I was a hiring manager at one point, and I actually have a special spot in my heart for people that are also trying to transition into technology. And I let them know that even if they think that their skills are not very transferable, they're actually much more transferable than they think they are. I try to let people think about the role that they want to get to, not as a title, but as a set of skills that they might have. And so if they could think about how the service industry related to what they're trying to get into, there's usually a lot of overlap, and you can share, those skills with the place that you want to be. Yeah, after that, I got into technology and worked my way up from the bottom there as well. So started doing technical support tickets, and now I'm a senior technical account manager, and I've been doing that for almost 7 years.
Wow, that is amazing. That is amazing. Now, I think that everyone start at different points. We try different things, and you were like, I want to go to college and I will work and do the job I need to do. So through that job, you were very focused on service. How that experience shape the way that you work with your clients today?
When you are face to face with people, you have to decide what kind of a person you are. And at that time, I would say I definitely was able to develop a sense of confidence about myself, confident about what we had to offer at the restaurant, confident about what I would recommend to people, and confident in my interactions with them to make sure that things were pleasant and smooth and things like that. But also being curious, chatting with people, getting to know people, asking about what they do, those are skills that you keep with you for the rest of your life. And if you're thoughtful about it, you can see how it translates from any industry that you would want to be in to all parts of your life. So, those were some of the first things that I noticed.
Yes. I mean, I think that curiosity, it's such an amazing, how do I say, quality or skill to have. Being curious about things, approaching things with curiosity. And I bet that that open opportunities for you to ask different questions. And I want to make this comparison because you started out waiting tables before you even touch a support ticket, right?
Yeah.
What did serving people face to face teach you about reading a customer that you still use today, sitting across from multi-million dollars account?
hmm Yeah, it's that, people are out just trying to have a meal or have a problem fixed, when it comes to a support ticket. And they are regular people and they get frustrated. And we have to use our listening skills and our skills of observation in all of these aspects and all of these interactions to have a good outcome. And so learning that, face to face where you're really put on the spot and you have to make quick decisions helps later on when you're doing a support ticket either over the phone or over the web portal. You have to parse out the information that you're given, which is usually not the whole story, but piece it back together and then make something useful out of it so that you can get people the desired outcome. So both of those skills, while they may seem very different being face to face at a restaurant or fixing somebody's support ticket, they actually work hand in hand.
Wow. I mean, it's sometimes I love there's a couple of mentors out there that always tell you get the job, learn from the job because it's going to serve you in the future. And I will say that you have gone from a job where people could be rude to you sometimes and walk away to a role where the same people now specifically request you by name. That's what I heard. So, what do you think actually changed? Was it you or was it how people started seeing you?
I think it's me for sure. Like I have to say that I have cultivated a very good brand, if you'll say like with my customers. And for me, what it is it's a combination of things, being confident and curious, like I said, asking them thoughtful questions and delivering information confidently, but also delivering a no confidently, and like telling people the truth. People trust me because I never say something that I don't know that is true. I would never promise to a customer something that I know that I can't deliver yet. I'll say, no, let me find out what we can do. And I always deliver. So then that's the other thing, you make promises to people and you're confident with your yes or you're confident with your no. But then, when you say you're going to follow up, you follow through and people see that. It's the trust. You can never, that's one thing that you cannot fake. You have to earn the trust and you have to deliver on the things that you promise. So that's the big difference right there. That's the final component, I think, when you get into this level of working with customers and building a brand, is the trust.
Yes, building trust is so challenging. It should not be, right? As you mentioned, if you tell them the truth and you try to help them and give them the information, and at the same time, this world have shifted so much because people think we have to achieve this goal and this outcome no matter what it takes. And sometimes you're like, why?
Yeah.
Why? So it takes a lot of character. Now, Nicole, that is something that is built, right? That's not something that normally comes to people naturally. How did your mother or a mentor or someone influence you to develop yourself into this human being that you are today?
Yeah, that developing into the person that you want to be, I think, takes a lot of different experiences and a lot of different mentors. So, yes, from my mother, I got the kindness. She's a nurse. She's been at the bedside for almost 40 years, and she is very kind and nurturing. It's always been in her nature. But that's not everything that you need for business. You can't just be kind all the time. Sometimes you have to deliver bad news or you have to hold boundaries with people and you have to learn new additional skills. So from mentors that I've had throughout my technology career, they've helped me with the other side of it. It's, be confident, hold boundaries, make sure that people don't push you around because they will. And you have to know what you can and can't do, and you have to be resolute on those things. And so, kind of bringing all of that together, influence from my mother, influence from peer mentors, or even up level mentors, and building that personality, that is what gets you there. It's like, I guess what I would say is observe people doing what it is that you would like to do and ask them, or just observe them, ask to be a part of their life and try to assimilate the things that you see them doing. But you'll probably need lots of different people's influences to get to a whole person yourself.
Yes. Oh my God, that's so key. And I'm going to ask you this because I think that something comes up very often with women, and it's about setting up boundaries. Good boundaries usually come down to being clear, not defensive later. But what are your secrets? Do you have some secrets that you will share with everybody on how to set healthy boundaries with your clients in your relationships?
Yeah, I think it's the same for both, really. It's taking the time to take a personal inventory of what you need. How much time of day do I need to take care of myself, to take care of my children, to take care of my home, work, all of those things. And so constantly checking in with yourself, just taking 20 or 30 minutes, at the end of the day or even at the end of the week, just check in with yourself and really be honest about what you need. But not just that, the other part is putting that into words. Now, like being honest with yourself, but also being confident enough to share that information with the people around you that need to hear that as well. Like, I need help with the kids today, or I need help with this project, or, I will not have time for that. I do have another obligation, but, setting another expectation about when you will follow through on something for somebody. So yeah, it's being clearly explaining what you need because nobody's a mind reader. And if you expect people to read in between the lines on your words or anything like that, you will end up being disappointed your whole life.
Yes, that's for sure. Now, on that line, well, and that also support what you say, delivering now with confidence too.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Um, are more of most of your clients, are they from the US culture or do you also have international relationships?
In the past, I have had international relationships, but currently all of my customers are based in the United States. In my previous role, I had half South America and half North America. And so, yeah, dealing with different cultures is definitely a new challenge for sure. So that raises a lot of different, ways that you need to interact with people because you can't apply all of the same things to all the countries in the world.
Yes, right. There's those secrets. International relationships are completely different, how they perceive things, how
hmm
conversations go. That is awesome. Now, Nicole, you went through a transition period where you used to work for a different tech company. Now you're with a new one, but also you went through that moment where you were laid off, which a lot of people today are dealing with that. How do you go past that? What are the things or three or a few things that you would recommend people out there going through laid off on how to move forward?
Yeah, being laid off was one of the scariest and most uncomfortable things that I have been through in recent memory, for sure. I can't think of a more challenging thing than having bills and life and all kinds of things, and then also finding out that the job that you have dedicated 10 years to is basically getting rid of your role. So that was definitely hard. But in that moment, I was like, all right, we have to figure out this is our new job, is finding a job. And first, I reached out to my network, which I had been cultivating for a very long time. And I put the word out there, because I had that trust with people, people were willing to put their name on recommendations for me. And so that was a big first step, was like reaching out to people that I knew trusted me because I had proven to them that they should trust me. And then treating every day like my job is looking for a job, fixing up my resume through AI, learning the new tools because, when you're comfortable in your job, you're kind of not like always up to date on all the newest tools. And so I was like, all right, well, AI is becoming prevalent. How do I integrate that into my process? And then using AI to help me prepare for interviews and things like that. It took me about 3 months to find a role, which I feel like was pretty fast at my level. So I was pretty happy about that. But it was grueling work. I mean, it was disappointments and lots of interviews and things like that. Oh, and the other thing is asking for feedback and listening. It's really hard to hear people say things that they didn't like about what you did right to your face. But I feel like that is one of the most critical skills that you can have, is being able to listen to uncomfortable truths about yourself and not be offended and take that and learn and grow. I think the reason why it went so fast for me was because I did ask directly for the feedback and I did apply it right away.
Wow, that's amazing. I think that's so critical. Lessening beyond the emotions, right? Of feeling uncomfortable just to be better. That's amazing, Nicole. That takes a lot of work.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it does. Because a lot of people that I mentor as well have a hard time with feedback. And, I think it's really hard for a lot of people to hear things that are uncomfortable about themselves. And some people so much that they'll avoid the topic completely. And I get it. It hurts. It hurts your feelings. But
Yeah.
are you trying to, have a career, or are you trying to have your feelings intact? Which is more important?
Yeah. Yes, and I think through the process, like I used to have a corporate job and then I went into the entrepreneur. But through that journey, you have to really take yourself, out of your emotions if you want to grow and become the worker, the leader, the entrepreneur, the mother, that father, whatever it is that you want to be. It
Yep.
takes so much to turn into the best version of yourself. And to your point, it requires feedback. Um, Now I'm gonna start tapping into other areas, but I have a question because I have a lot of friends that are going through layoff from the entertainment industry in Hollywood to a lot of tech companies. And you had had such a steady climb, right? But to your point, you have to be willing to lessen. You went from server, supporting, managing millions in relationship, and then lay off can hit even the most established careers out of nowhere.
Hmm.
And when that happened, do you think you felt financially prepared? And I ask this because a lot of high performers that I talk to, they're so focused on growing in the role that they don't always build like income outside of it. So have you already started thinking high hustles, investing like real estate stocks, or did they live off push you to start asking those questions for the first time?
I had always been skeptical, coming from a single parent household. I'd always been skeptical about stability and things like that. So I started building a safety net a long time ago, as soon as I
Mhm.
could, and I realized it's not achievable for everybody. But my spouse and I have a 6 month of
Boom.
funds put aside so we could cover our bills for up to 6 months if both of us were completely out of work, which has fortunately never been the case. But if it were, then it's there. And I also keep my own money. So I think that a lot of women, maybe keep an old philosophy on that, and like they share money with their spouse. But for me, I say women should have their own bank account and their own money. I think that women should work because I think that it gives you the independence to know with certainty that you're in a situation that you desire to be in and that you're not in it because you need the financial support. You know, you you must. I cannot stress enough. Like it's so important for women to work. I think that that's one of the best things you could do for your personal safety and happiness. And then I have my own savings as well. And I do have a lot of investments. I invest in the stock market. And basically, that started because when I was with VMware, I started getting stocks and I did the employee stock purchase program. And I thought, oh, well, I'm, putting all this money aside. I guess I should start looking at like, what it's doing. And I've grown it. I think I've grown it like 4 or 5x. So, it's not a lot, but it's more safety and security for sure.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And I ask those questions because I know a lot of people struggle on that, especially when there's that transition, when there's like a single woman, right? And yes, that happens to man too. But to your
Yeah.
point, women tend to rely on traditional bad beliefs about not managing money, when in
Hmm.
reality, it has been proven that women are better managing money. And statistically, this is not me, it's a stat, even investing. So
I do believe that's true.
sorry, guys. No, I think that we have a lot to learn from each other, but statistically, we do better in investing too because we do our due diligence. So thank you for sharing that. Now, Nicole, you're going through all of these great transition in career, but let's talk about you, Nicole. What is Nicole really enjoying or what she's excited for personally that give you the spark to continue to do what you do?
Recently I have gotten into, just maybe my second act, right? Like I'm about to be 42, so I get really reflective around my birthday. And I have started taking a philosophy course through Harvard.
Uh-huh.
And if people don't know this, there are Harvard classes that you can audit for free. So that's all. I'm not paying to go to Harvard. I didn't get accepted into Harvard or anything, but you can audit their classes for free. And it's a really fabulous resource. And I think that philosophy is really interesting because it really leans a lot into my other pet interest, which is science fiction and science and, astronomy and all of that other stuff. But philosophy is really interesting because it kind of forces you to consider really difficult dilemmas and how would you answer them one way or the other. And so that's been really fun and interesting for sure, and thinking about how I can pass that skill along to my children, to say philosophy helps you with critical thinking, how to understand an argument, structure an argument, understand both sides when there is a valid argument, and using real facts and things like that. And so part of it is, for my own edification, but also, like how do we help the next generation of people behind us think critically and think
Yeah,
about interesting topics?
girl, I'm gonna put you in the spot because you just nail it. I mean, today's generation, or I think we are struggling with thinking critically, having a opinion based on real information, with waves of information everywhere that we don't know what is true and what is not. And
Mm-hmm.
our reaction, what have you learned in these classes that is keeping you objective and helping you look at problems with objectivity?
That's exactly right. I mean, like just starting from that point, that question, is looking at something that's sensational, and instead of allowing yourself to have that gut reaction to say, yeah, that's right, without any further introspection, is taking a step back and saying, wow, that's really sensational. Maybe I should look a little bit further into this and just take that one step of being critical instead of accepting and dig deeper into what's being presented to you. And also being comfortable with holding possibly two differing beliefs in your mind at the same time. That's how we grow. If you only keep your same set of beliefs in your mind at the same time and you never let anything else come into your mind to challenge that, then you have stopped growing. But if you are willing to listen to an opposing view, hold it in your mind for a moment and really think critically about it and evaluate. Maybe you end up where you already were, but at least you've given it, at least you've tested it, right? And you've proven to yourself yet again that with facts and information, that either the old thought is true or maybe the new thought is true and requires some further investigation. So that's kind of, the process that I would say.
I love it. I love it. I think that to your point too, like lessoning plays such a big role on arguing points and understanding to come up with a perspective because I think our human need of wanting to be right and know you're wrong and not wanting to listen without even listening to the other side to ask better questions that maybe you didn't ask before, it opened so many doors. And
Hmm.
I think that personally, I love to talk about challenging topics with the right people, right?
Yeah.
To your point, like the ones who are opening to lesson and know critical information because they help me ask better questions. It's like, ooh, I never saw that like that
Hmm.
before. Thank you for
Yeah.
bringing this perspective. Yes, I might
Yeah.
not agree, and I don't have to, but the
Right.
fact that I get to study and learn more, it helped me understand how other people think about things. And that
Yeah.
becomes really awesome. And I think we need more of that. Maybe you should write an article or something after you're done with your class.
Yes. But you hit the nail on the head. It's arriving at every situation with openness, not assuming that everything that you know today is the final answer on everything, having openness and that goes back to being confident, right? Like if you're confident, you're okay being open because you know that nothing will shake down the foundation of what you are without merit. Like if something doesn't arrive with facts and, truth, then that's okay. Bring it to me. I will, take this burden on my shoulders with you and we'll look at it together, but we're going to end with facts. We're going to end with critical thinking and we're going to end, with all of those things and not just our feelings.
Yes, I love that. I love that. I think that uh, religion, politics, money, identity nowadays, everything that comes with high emotions is so difficult for people to have a conversation that can be critical.
Hmm.
Just because the emotions get so intense. But to your point, when we look at the facts, it's very challenging to
Hmm.
not get emotional and look at the facts. It's very interesting. I love those topics. It always helped me grow. Yeah.
Me too. I like going for the difficult stuff. And when it comes to those things, it's the second tenet that I suggested is curiosity. Instead of telling people what you think or telling them what to think, be curious about them. How do they arrive there? Why are you uh, believing this today? And what does it mean to you? Why is it important? Because when you really get down to the root of things, you can start addressing things with logic and facts and information. But if you're just trying to attack somebody's feelings, you will always lose.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. That's correct. 100%. I believe. Don't attack the feelings. There's no need, even when
No.
you don't agree with the feelings. I think
Mm-hmm.
I could ask you two funny questions. Well, one funny question, because I'm always having this conversation with my significant other. about validating feelings, even if it doesn't make sense to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
What have been your experience on those conversations, especially being in the customer side when you're like, why you are being that way, right? How do you manage those conversations?
I have a great customer example of that right now. You
Mhm.
know, is that the folks that I deal with on a day-to-day basis that are using our product that I'm helping, facilitate, they have a job to do. And they keep pushing the envelope. I need you to do this. I need you to do more. I need your company to do more. I need more people to come help us with things. And, at the end of the day, what I realize is like, he is just, or they, it's a whole team of people, but they are just a team of people that have a directive coming down from their side of the business that I don't know about, and I asked them about that actually. That's how we kind of get to a resolution. I said, I get it. You've got people breathing down your neck. You have timelines, help me understand. What is it that is expected of you? Who do you answer to? And what's on the line there? And understanding that, like, him getting frustrated and pushy with me is not an attack on me or my company. It's him expressing his frustration over the expectations that are put on him at his organization. And so taking a step back and like even talking to my team offline and saying, listen, this guy's just trying to do his job. We obviously can't, we have to hold our boundaries and we're not going to give him things that we can't. But can we be creative? Can we, now that we understand a little bit more, we've dug deeper and asked the questions about why he's so frustrated and pushy, can we be creative and try to give a different solution that maybe we have never thought of before? And
Yeah.
that's kind of what I think you could do in those situations, dealing with challenging people.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I mean, I love the fact that pretty much for a moment you wear that team's hat to
Hmm.
understand what they're dealing and you approach it with a solution mind, right?
Hmm.
Without letting your feelings of, oh, I'm getting
Yeah.
frustrated with you too.
Yeah.
Let me see how I can help you. And I think that's why I wanted to ask you this question because I think just as we were talking, I have seen the journey that how you're bringing the service from serving in a table to solving problems to this point. And I come from that same world. My mama is a retired nurse too, so I understand
Oh,
the
how
journey.
sweet.
Yes, and the kindness. And at the same time, to your point, when it comes to solving problems, we have to take a very different approach. But
Yeah.
I think that having that nurturing kindness in our hearts allow us to try to understand the other person from where they're coming from and
Hmm.
allow us to give a high level of service compared to other people and recreate loyalty.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And like you said, I mean, what do you do about validating people's emotions? You should. You should recognize that they're having big emotions and then try to figure out why, you know?
yes. I love it. I love it. And now we're getting to the end. Oh no. But I wanted to ask you this because you have gone through these business women dreams, pave your own way to get to college. Now in the tech world, it has been an entire holy experience. What type of conversations do you think women should have that they're not having?
Wow. Um, I guess it depends, what point they're at in their life, I suppose, But assuming that you are just trying to figure out, like maybe at the beginning, do something that it keeps you learning and being curious. But don't put too much pressure on yourself to do the thing that makes the most money or, the most fame or anything like that. Do something that keeps you curious and creative. And then you will always be able to find a way to turn it into more. When I got into the tech world, like I said, I was just doing technical support tickets. It's not glamorous. It's very challenging. People are always angry. Nobody's happy when they come to technical support, but it gets your foot in the door. So get to where, even at the bottom where you'd like to be, And then find mentors, find people that are in a position that you would like to be and go from there. You will get there eventually. If it is your goal, if you believe, if somebody else can do it, then you can too, you will be right. It just takes time and finding the right people.
Yes, I love it. So get into the journey and finding that mentors in those conversations. Love it.
Mhm. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Nicole, if people want to connect with you, what will be the best way for them to do so?
If they're looking to connect professionally, please reach out to me on LinkedIn. I help people with referrals all the time. I have gotten many, many people hired in the tech industry. So definitely happy to talk with you about, what are some of my tips and tricks for interviewing and finding good roles and making the process pretty quick and painless. And then even if you just want a referral into the organization that I work at now, happy to do that as well. So connect with me on LinkedIn. I check it pretty regularly.
Cool, cool. That's amazing. Thank you, Nicole, for opening and sharing with people. I think that being that role and sharing about your experience and how to prepare for interviews, that will be amazing for a lot of people. It will be a gift. So thank you again for being with us today. I know that people will learn a lot from your wisdom and your tips today. That was great information. So thank you again for being with us.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. And I hope that it's inspirational to many, many people. I know that there's a lot of opportunity out there, and you just have to believe and try.
You've been listening to Catch Her Spark with Jen Maldonado, where bold women lead the way. Ready to share your spark? Apply to be a guest at catchherspark.com/guest.